Hi everyone, Ellie Price here again with Root Cause Wellness. Today we are coming in to talk about something near and dear to my heart, which is negative thoughts. I remember years ago searching, what do I do with these voices in my mind? And the search results yielded schizophrenia help and something where I was like, oh, is something wrong with me? And I quickly learned that's not the case, unfortunately. But yet, fortunately, we all have these superpowers in our head. They're called our brains and our consciousness. And we like to think of it as a computer system. It's kind of the best analogy I've heard, and the best way for me to explain it. These things are so intelligent. We're just given them and never shown how to work with them. So they can be our biggest gift, biggest blessing, but they can also in turn be a huge detriment, right? So some of the things I work on with clients is how we can catch our negative thoughts or some negative beliefs that may not be true, beliefs about a situation that we can catch and really question, is this true, right? So I think the first step for anybody is to be able to identify when they are going deep into a root of negative thinking. So whether that be, I'm not feeling good right now, and why? And then checking to see, what are my thoughts right now? And if it's something where it's a thought that is not serving you, meaning it's negative, it's harmful, deceitful, along those lines, then most of the time you can identify that that's something that is no longer helpful for you to be thinking. And it's in that moment when you are catching that negative thought that the magic happens. That is your higher self coming in and catching it, right? We are the observer of our thoughts, okay? So I'm going to just give an example here. It's one I've heard. A lot of these things I've heard through other people, and I'm just relaying the message. Just kind of putting it into my own context. But let's say I tell you to think of a grasshopper, okay? So now you're thinking of the grasshopper. But above that voice, you'll hear yourself say, I'm thinking about a grasshopper because you told me to think about a grasshopper, okay? And it's that voice that is interpreting why you're thinking about what you're thinking about that we're focusing on. And it's that voice that is the higher version of you, right? So when you're stuck in these negative thoughts, the ability to tune in and say, this is no longer serving me, that's the voice that you want to tune into, right? That's the voice you want to connect to and be able to say, this thought can just leave. You know, I hear you, I see you, there's nothing wrong with me that I'm having this thought, but it's okay. You know, I've got it, right? So a little bit of background on our brains. We, ages ago, we were put here to survive. Life has changed. We still feel some in survival mode. That's inevitable. However, we're not fighting off wild animals every day like we would have been thousands of years ago. We have food available to us. We don't have to fight for that. We have our own set of fights. Do not get me wrong there, okay? Don't minimize those. However, it's the primitive brain that kicks in and tries to keep us safe, okay? And when something in our environment or our life triggers a measure of unsafety, our mind automatically goes to, what do we need to do to protect ourselves? And again, that's a blessing and a curse. Because a lot of the concerns that we're having, things that we're worried about, don't come true. It's just our mind's ability to try to keep us safe, okay? So once we're able to identify that, we just say, thank you for letting me know that. And if there's some action that needs to be taken, you'll be able to identify that. Another scenario is when you're interacting with, let's say, a coworker or a colleague, and they say something that hurts you, triggers you for some reason. We all have triggers for some reason, whether that be from things we were told as a child, things we hear on the media, they come from places, and we absorb these and we define ourselves with these things, but we also get triggered. So when we feel ourselves triggered, something that I like to do that has been significantly helpful is the story I'm telling myself. So that colleague told me something and it hurt me. That was their goal. Okay, that's the first story we're gonna go with. They wanted to hurt me. Okay, let's go with the second story. Let's go with they didn't know better. They didn't have the skills, the social skills to know whether or not that's appropriate or inappropriate to say. So it was not intentional, okay? There's one. Another one could be they thought that they were close enough that they could say that to you. I guess what I'm getting at is that any situation that triggers you, there could be multiple stories to it. And what I challenge you to do is come up with at least another story. So you'll have your initial one. That's fine. Acknowledge it and challenge that. Is that true? Could it be something else? My partner left the toilet seat up. He doesn't care about me. Right? One story. 2, he did it on purpose because he's mad at me. He's trying to get back at me. We can always come up with different stories. I suggest what has been helpful for me, what I've adopted, is what feels good to me to believe. And if that is, my partner had a long day, he just forgot. He still loves me. He shows me love. That feels good to me. And the importance of doing that is that when we have these negative thoughts or we're triggered in a certain way, if we follow that thought, our body physically releases chemicals. Okay, so this is gonna increase our adrenaline, our cortisol levels, and these are directly related to long-term health issues, right? These are stress hormones that when in our body in a high amount cause long-term issues. Even short-term as in anxiety, depression, we're not in a good mind space, right? So this is something where I challenge everybody to catch themselves when they're having a negative thought and try to come up with a different story, okay? And this is not about me saying ignore your feelings, right? If you are feeling sad, angry, acknowledge it, feel it. Scream if you need to, do what you need to do. Don't scream at somebody, don't hurt anybody else. However you find that has worked for you to release it. Otherwise, look up ways to release. I had to do that. Things we think we just automatically have in us. Google, the internet has everything you might need to know, okay? We know this. Look up ways to release your sadness, anger, just to be prepared for these situations. But challenging that and getting in touch with that higher voice that is observing the thought that you're having. And then challenge the story. Come up with another story, a story that feels better for you. There's a little bit of maybe naiveness in this, but when it comes to the health of our bodies and our minds and our everyday life and how we feel going through the day, I think it's important. So that's something that I challenge you to do. When you work with me, we get to the root of some of these thoughts that you're having. For instance, a job. I feel like I don't deserve a better job or a better partner, or, where is this coming from? Where is this rooting from? Trying to identify those. And sometimes we have blocks that we can't see, right? Like I have a belief about myself that I didn't know I had, but a friend who has an insight on my life really knows me, and we have a safe communication level where she could tell me, hey, I'm seeing you repeating this pattern, or I'm seeing this in you. So it's nice to have those people that can also see through our blind spots and can tell you in a caring and loving way. So that is what I provide as a coach as well. So I just wanted to get on and share that. That was been heavy on my mind lately. I'm going through a few things in my personal life that I really had to tackle, and I know I'm not alone in that. So if that's something you're dealing with, struggling with, I do offer free consultations. You can schedule with me in the link that I'll attach here. But otherwise, be happy, be positive, and yes, improve your life. Okay. Love you. Bye-bye.